When I'm working with children with complex communication needs, my goal is always to strive for spontaneous language. Meaning, a child has a novel thought or idea in their head, and they can communicate it independently without adult support. In fact, it's one of the first questions I ask parents. What is your child communicating completely on their own? If they're not sure, I have them track their child's spontaneous language throughout the week by writing down what a child said and in what context. Often, families come back to me and report there's not a lot of spontaneous language happening. Instead, they realize their child is waiting for them to ask a question or to model language for them to repeat. So, how do we get kids communicating more spontaneously? You can use a least to most prompting hierarchy that prioritizes giving kids the space and time they need to start initiating more communication. Let me give you an example of how this works. First, we need to give a child lots of exposure to a specific word. So for example, if I'm teaching the word open, I give lots of exposure to that word by modeling on the device during motivating activities. This could be opening up the refrigerator for a snack, opening up a game box, or opening the door to go outside. Once I've given lots of repeated exposure to teach the word, it's time to start following the prompting hierarchy. Pick a familiar routine like opening the refrigerator. The first step is to simply tempt and pause. This might mean you put your hand on the refrigerator door and you wait for your child to communicate. Make sure the device is easily accessible to your child and be sure to recognize any attempt at communication. A child doesn't even have to select the correct word. The key here is that we're giving a child space to have an idea and to independently initiate communication with us. Let's say the child doesn't respond to tempting and pausing. Then you can provide a higher level of prompting by using body language. This could be a facial expression or shrugging your shoulders. If they still don't respond, then you can ask an open-ended question like, "Now what?" Or a comment like, "I wonder what we should do next." Still no response? You might try asking a more specific question like, "What do you want?" Or, "Tell me with your talker." If a child continues to need help, you might give more support by pointing to their device generally or even pointing to the word open. I never venture into the red section of this prompting hierarchy because it tells me either the child isn't motivated or they haven't had enough modeling or repetition with the specific word I'm targeting. The takeaway message here is that we need to be really cognizant of how often we're asking a child questions, and even more aware of when we're telling kids what to say. If we do this too much, we're training kids to learn, I only talk when someone tells me to. Instead, we can build a strong foundation for independent communication. And that starts with giving kids the space and time to formulate and communicate on their own. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and go to rachelmadel.com for even more resources like this.